my favorite segments. It's time to take a look at what new films are hitting theaters this weekend. We're joined live by film critic Richard Crouse. It's always great to see you, Rich. You know, I'm always curious because this next film is getting some great reviews, but I always wondered, are you more of a Maverick or an Iceman kind of guy?
I'm a rule breaker. I'm like Maverick, I guess. I don't know.
I'm curious, does Top Gun, this sequel, does it take you through the danger zone?
It sure does. You know, this is a movie 36 years in the making from the original Top Gun, and it gives you kind of exactly and sort of fairly precisely what you expect it's going to give you. High-flying aerial scenes. The story doesn't hold a lot of surprises, but what I liked about this movie, which sees Maverick, played by Tom Cruise, go back to Top Gun, the training ground for test pilots, and train 12 of the brightest and the best recent graduates so that they can take on a very dangerous mission. But what I liked about this is that Tom Cruise has some age on him now. He's 59 years old. He looks much younger than that, but he brings that range of age and experience to the character so that what you end up with is a character that has regrets, who's looking back over their life, and it deepens the character. The rest of the movie, about as deep as a lunch tray, but this part of it gives Cruise something to do. You add that to the high-flying aerial scenes, and you get a perfect summer movie. So it's called Top Gun Maverick, in theaters right now. See it as big and as loud as you can, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
And speaking of lunch trays, is Bob's Burgers movie something you would serve up?
It is, to a point. You know, this is based on a television show that's been on television now for 12 seasons. They've released now a feature-length movie, which essentially plays like a long, extended episode of the show with a couple of musical numbers thrown in. And the musical numbers are actually quite great, but there's not enough of them for me to really call this a musical. It's really a crime thriller after a big sinkhole opens up in front of the Bob's Burgers restaurant, and then they find some bodies and things down there, and it becomes a bit of a murder mystery to see, you know, where those bodies came from and will the restaurant ever open up again. And this works really well up until about the last third, where it becomes a bit of a slog with the pacing that slows right down. But like they say, there's no such thing as a bad burger, and Bob's Burgers isn't bad. It just slows down a little bit too much at the end for me, but I still gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
It is my favorite food. Let's talk about The Middleman. Haven't heard much about this, but I've been reading about it, and seems like an interesting movie. What's your take on it?
I like this one. It's an odd little thing, though. This is set in America's accident capital. So you've got this strange little town where just weird, random accidents happen to people on an almost daily basis, and they're almost always fatal. So it's so bad there that the town hall has their flag permanently flying at half-mast because there's always something terrible happening in the town. So much so that they hire someone to act as a middleman between the police, who are called to these accident scenes, and the families. So he has to tell the families the bad news. And it begins to weigh on him after a while. This is a very dark comedy that won't be for everybody, but for me, I like that it was a little absurdist, that it took me places that I haven't been before. Some really interesting and fun performances, particularly from Paul Gross here, who plays the sheriff. Great to see him in this film. It's called The Middleman. It's on the big screen right now, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
Richard Crouse, always great to speak to you. My friend, you have a great weekend.
You too, Jamie. Thanks.